I'm gonna go take over swathing from my dad this morning. We're just dropping some barley now. I think there's a 145 acre field here. We got the 30 foot or 35 foot draper header on the MacDon M205 Swather. So today should be a good day. Get to drive that nice Swather around. Don't get to do it that often, so I'm pretty excited for that. So I just showed up to the Swather and he told me to bring a crescent wrench along, and I did, and it's because something on the header reel broke here. So those were the parts, and they just came off of that end of the reel. Basically the teeth on the reel, they kind of scoop the grain and the plant into the header, and they kind of, if they were all just sticking straight and rigid, they would just kind of scoop the grain in like this. But there's a mechanism at the end of that reel that makes it so those teeth kind of go down into the crop like that, instead of just kind of flicking it in. And that's what's broken. So one of the 5 like sections that hold those teeth, it's just kind of flopping there. It still cuts really good, but I think my dad hit a tree or something, he said, so that's why that broke. This is barley. We're gonna feed this to the cows, roll it up and put it in their TMR for the milk cows. So hopefully we get quite a bit of yield off of this piece. We don't farm all of our land to feed the cows. Probably we farm about, this year was probably 400 acres for forages to make silage for the cows. And I'd say, you know, whatever we have to barley goes to feeding the cows. But that canola, it's gonna be sold. That's just basic crop farming. And we also have some wheat and peas as well. We'll never feed combine peas, but we will chop them. So we still have some of those peas left. There's a field just in front of us. So we'll combine that and sell it off as well. So the roller's not on for swathing the barley. Barley's a lot heavier. The straw is a lot heavier. And it doesn't have to be out here near as long as the canola does, so it's not as much risk for it blowing away. So there's a tiny bit of green stuff, like just small patches around this field and the next field that I'm gonna cut, and that's why we're swathing it. We need it all to be consistently dry. We could wait a lot longer and let the plants dry while they're standing and then maybe straight cut it with the combine. But what ends up happening is the heads of the barley, they start to keel over as they're standing and drying. And eventually, if you leave them too long, they'll actually start to fall off. And that's a huge yield loser right there. If you would lose like 10% of your heads if they fall on the ground, that's 10% of your yield gone. That's why we're just swathing it. Let it all dry for a few days, maybe 5, 6, 7 days. And then we should be able to come in here with the combine and combine it all up. I just had a plug up on here. Some of the barley got built up on the knives there on the header. So the knives are no longer exposed and it kind of just pushes the crop down. So I'm gonna try just bringing the reel down with the controls here. Just press this. That'll bring the reel down. Maybe if I'm lucky. Get it all out, but it doesn't look like it, so we're gonna have to hop out and check it out. Just gonna rev down, turn the header off. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go the other way. Those are all thistles. Sometimes that'll happen. Maybe there's a knife broken, just one of the knives missing. One of these things could be right gone. But they all look like they're there. So we're just gonna keep cutting. And this is the broken reel. You can see it's just completely loose. If I try doing that with this one, I can't. So this one's just kind of flying all over the place, but it still does a pretty good job cutting. So we didn't have to stop cutting to fix it, but would be nice if they were all working. Just opening up the next field here, going along the tree line, and you can see the edge is just completely polluted with those Canadian thistles. We're definitely gonna have to spray all of them. They're slowly creeping into the field. Just went home for lunch. It was pretty good, had some burgers. So we're back out in the field cutting again. And just opening up the second field still just right in front. We got some power poles going through the field. They're pretty annoying. So they make for some irregular swaths, but now that we're past them, it's a straight shot all the way to the back of this field. We're getting really close to finishing this field off. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. And this is what I was talking about earlier, how the heads, they're starting to kink over. They're not too bad yet, but eventually they'll go even more and more and more, and then they'll just fall right off. And that's why we're coming in here and swathing it, just to get it dried out, because there are quite a few green spots in this field. We could wait till those green spots dried out, but then these heads are going to kink off and fall off, so better just swath the entire field and then we'll get all the grain. And you can see here the rows, how the cedar went. It went straight north-south here. Now I'm cutting it the opposite way. Takes longer, I have to turn way more. This field's probably 4 times as long as it is wide, so you're turning way more. It's way more inconvenient to cut. But if we put the swaths down this way, a lot of those plants are going to go right down to the ground in between the 2 rows of stubble, and the combine's just going to struggle to pick those up. That's why I'm going back and forth. We didn't bother doing it on that field because it's way skinnier. I think there was like 8 swaths up and down in there, but it's still justifiable doing it in this field. So this is our 2014 MacDon M205 Swather, and it's got a 36-foot draper header on it. This Swather does a great job cutting in pretty much every crop. The only crop we struggle with this draper header is green peas. We pretty much couldn't cut it with this Swather, but they were green and it was in some spots just a monster crop. Stupid heavy. That's why this thing struggled, but you can literally move that reel forwards and backwards, up and down, adjust the speed it spins at. You can adjust the speed the drapers go at, and the angle, and up and down with the entire Swather header. So this thing's super adjustable, and that really makes it easy to kind of fine tune how you're cutting to make sure you get a good cut.